All right, what's going on, Giants fans? Making another video because Daniel Jones is injured again. He was injured, now he's injured again, and it's different. Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network says Giants coach Joe Judge told reporters that QB Daniel Jones suffered a different injury besides the hamstring, and I'm told he sprained his ankle in the second quarter last week. His status is in doubt for Sunday. Well, that sucks. Let's go through this step by step. First of all, it sucks that he got hurt in the game. I don't know where you stood before the game. I think you should stick to your guns. Like, if you thought he should have played, sure. The coaches, I don't think it was malpractice to send him out there versus Arizona. Now people have different opinions, but I don't have the medical info. We're just reading stuff off Twitter and listening to what the coaches are saying. So I don't know. I was fine with him playing, and him playing hobbled, albeit hobbled, was a better option than Colt McCoy, which we'll get to Colt McCoy later and why I do believe that. I do think he was a better option. Doesn't mean he was good, because it sure as hell wasn't good against Arizona. I mean, they only had 7 points. Now, is that all QB related? Absolutely not. You've seen me go through it. It's a lot of this offense. The offense wasn't really good when Jones was fully healthy. I mean, even in the previous month when Jones was looking good, he was playing damn near flawlessly, and the Giants were only putting up like 27 points, 23 points. It wasn't like they were blowing teams away. I mean, I thought Daniel Jones was playing flawlessly in that Eagles game and the Bengals game. Now, granted, he got kicked out, he left the Bengals game, and there was a dropped bomb and a fumble by Ingram in that game. But nonetheless, like, as good as he looked, it didn't feel like an offense that was at the top of the league, because it just wasn't. And if you go by points per game, throughout the season, they've been the second worst offense. There's a lot to it, but that's not what this video is about. So, long story short, I was fine with Jones playing. Where I will guess the coaching staff a little bit is, if you watched on the All-22 stream, and we talked about if you watch film or you rewatch the game, hell, if you watched it live, that fourth quarter, it looked different. He was had a noticeably worse limp in the fourth quarter of that game, and especially the final two drives. I know they said it got injured in the second quarter, so apparently he was playing the third quarter on it, but he looked way worse in the fourth quarter. Like, he was really, really banged up. It wasn't even necessarily like the way he moved in play. It was after play. You could just see it's like, this guy could barely walk right now. So that's frustrating. I don't think he'll play this week. You have the mixture of the hamstring and the ankle. I just don't see him playing versus the Browns. So that means Colt McCoy will most likely start for the Giants on Sunday Night Football. Obviously, no decision has been made, but at this point, I'm guessing that Colt McCoy will start. Colt McCoy, though, does not give the Giants a better. He's not a better option, even with an injured Daniel Jones, or the level of injury that Daniel Jones had on Sunday. He just doesn't. At least Daniel Jones had the 140-yard pass that gave them a touchdown, and there was another deep pass that puts him within the 20. But the Golden Tate gets the ball knocked out of his hands, and there's some other opportunities there that weren't converted. So, but everyone's like, well, they scored 17 points versus Seattle. They won that game. It was an awesome game. Well, they won that game because of their defense. Their defense balled out that game versus Seattle. But the Giants had 3 drives where they scored on 2 touchdowns and a field goal. You want to know what Colt McCoy's stats were on those? 3 for 4, 3 for 4 for 17 yards. 3 for 4 for 17 yards on 3 scoring drives. So 17 points, 17 yards. And here's what those passes were. On the first drive, he had a pass to start it, 3-yard pass. And then they ran the ball all the way down into the end zone after a big Wayne Gallman run. The next one, they run down into the red zone, the 5-yard line. They have the bootleg touchdown to Alfred Morris. And then Seattle had a turnover that was already in Seattle's territory. Incompletion, bad run, 8-yard pass. They go to 4th down, kick a field goal. So they didn't even get a first down on the play where he got over half his yards. So he didn't do anything versus Seattle. You say, well, he controlled the ball. Well, not really. He had the same amount of turnovers in that one game than Daniel Jones has had in his last 4 games. So he wasn't controlling he wasn't playing ball control any differently than Daniel Jones has. Now, that one interception, I don't really blame on him, because it did go off Ingram's hands and up into the air. But this idea that Colt McCoy gives him a better option to win, I don't believe that for a second. I just don't believe that at all. It's just not true. I mean, we see it shows up in the numbers. So now against the Browns, you hope you can run the ball really well like you did versus Seattle. Play defense, but against Seattle, I mean, they had the worst passing defense in the NFL, the worst in the NFL, and they had 100 passing yards. Seattle gives up over 300 passing yards per game, and in this game they had 100 on the dot, 105 yards from McCoy, and then 5 yards taken off for sacks. 100 yards against a team that gives up over 300 yards per game on average. Now, you're not going to always, I'm not expecting the Giants. I wasn't expecting them to go light it up, but to not have any downfield attempts versus a Seattle team that's defense sucked. And the reason they ran the ball well is because they were undisciplined, and I like the Giants the way they ran. You can't be mad at them for that. But this idea that Colt McCoy gives them a better chance than a one-legged Daniel Jones, to me, it's just flat out not true. Now I want to talk about this. This isn't really about playing a game plan. The NFL really screwed up by putting this game in Week 15. They really screwed this up. Now, I get you can't, the Daniel Jones injury is a lot less predictable. But Odell is injured every single year. Every year Odell is injured. Even last year he played all 16 games, but he was injured from Week 1 to Week 17. He played through it, but he was injured. This matchup they should have made the most for. Odell returning to play the Giants is must-see TV. Okay? The only other bigger matchup they could have gotten, there's not a bigger return or any kind of matchup this year. The only one they could have gotten was Tom Brady return to New England, and that's not happening. So why didn't they put this earlier in the year? It just doesn't make any sense. And I had some people say, well, you can't predict injuries. With Odell, you kind of can. With Odell, you can. He gets injured every single year. So I'm not asking them to predict it, but you should keep it in mind. To not have this game early in the season, to me, was a total miss. And you took the chance, the Giants are in the playoff hunt right now. But you could have had a Giants team that was totally out of it, and now you don't have Daniel Jones versus Baker Mayfield, and we know the storyline is there from the GQ article or HQ or whatever the article was. So you don't have that, and now it's it's a joke, it's a Colt McCoy's revenge game versus the Browns. I know you got the Freddie Kitchens angle there, but that sucks. I don't care whether you're a Giants fan, Browns fan, or just an Odell fan. If you hated him, loved him, or you're sick of hearing him, don't tell me you weren't excited to see him return to the Giants. Chargers fans were excited to see Odell return to play to the Giants, no matter what you felt about him. And it sucks that they've taken that away. It would have been one thing if it was in conference or in division, but they're not going to play each other for another 4 years. So unless Odell ends up on another team, there's a good chance we will never see Odell play versus the Giants again. And I think that sucks. And I'm not an Odell fan. I'm not. I mean, if you guys have been subscribed for a while, I ranted about Odell last week, but I was looking forward to that matchup, and we get it raw from us. So I feel like the NFL is screwed up on that. Anyways, if you like the video, subscribe. I don't really like asking for that because YouTube, like and subscribe, but you got to do it. You just have to do it. You have to ask people to like and subscribe. So appreciate you watching. Let's go beat the Browns. Let's beat the damn Browns. How about that? Can we beat the freaking Browns? I don't care if it's Colt McCoy. I don't care if we win 2-0. I want to beat the freaking Browns. I want to win. Let's win the division. If we go 1-2, Washington 0-3, Dallas and Philly go both 1-2, we win the division. We're playing a playoff game. Let's freaking do it. I don't care how we do it. Let's just win the damn game. Let's win the damn division. Appreciate you guys. See ya for podcasts, streams, whatever, all that good stuff. Appreciate you. Let's go Big Blue.